Alright, there we go. I think the audio should be good. Testing 1, 2, 3. You guys should be able to hear me. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay here. For those of you who already know the channel, welcome back. Hope you guys have a good time. This is going to be sort of maybe the inaugural, I dare call it the inaugural episode of what I'm for now titling This Week in PlayStation. It's a series I've already done on the channel before, but what we were basically doing before that is we would take the news of the week and sort of discuss it, and I would break it down in like a video and just discuss the pros and cons. I think the very first one that I did was round about the time of hashtag Save Red Dead Online, when the Red Dead community was up in arms because of, Rockstar's lack of development and attention on the game, and then Rockstar ultimately took a shit on the on the player base and just dropped development for the game completely. But at least they formally announced something, so now it wasn't like, in that awkward middle ground where people are sort of expecting updates and that kind of thing. Rockstar basically was just like, nah, until GTA 6 comes out, or we're not touching this shit. So, but yeah, I say that to say I've just basically done this before, but I figured maybe I should do it in like a podcast format, because I noticed YouTube was doing this thing where they're letting you create categories now, and podcasts have a little category on the on like the YouTube tab. So like, how they did the initial separation with like videos, and then the shorts tab, and then the live tab. So now you can actually genuinely separate everything. So I feel like what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put these in the podcast category, and I'm going to go back and put those old videos also in the podcast category. Not because I think they are a podcast, but I feel like they're more podcasts than they are video, because I'm going to have gameplay in the background for you guys to watch. But that gameplay is never actually related to what I'm talking about in the video. I always just have, random visuals there to entertain people. But what's actually more important is, whatever I'm discussing at the time. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, so the first topic I have written down here is the recent news about PlayStation buying another studio. I think that's the 20th studio they've added to the roster. And it's reportedly to have a lot of the Destiny devs, the devs that worked on Destiny. And so Sony announced that they acquired Firewalk Studios, a team with some Destiny veterans working on original AAA multiplayer games for PlayStation. So the reason why I was picking this news story is because I'm curious to know, what multiplayers do you guys think PlayStation is working on? I think I've discussed this before previously in, again, those previous news videos that I was doing where we talked about like Uncharted and all that type of stuff. PlayStation has been doing the groundwork to sort of start working on multiplayer games, and I think they're sort of putting all their eggs in that basket, not necessarily because they still prioritize single player story games, but because of the whole Call of Duty situation going on, I think PlayStation has also seen that they sort of need to develop multiplayer games that can sort of match the standard of the single player story games, right? Because the big selling points, is the single player story games, which we all enjoy and love. But there's a lot of people who enjoy multiplayer games. I'm in that category as well, because I'll play a good multiplayer, but of course I lean to single player story games because I'm a fucking nerd for a good narrative and storytelling game. But I'll still enjoy multiplayer games with the homies, depending on what they are, of course. But I feel like this move is again a further move for PlayStation just to solidify themselves and sort of build a base. So I think they're gonna have a lot of like multiplayer games coming out in a bunch of years, but they're not going to be coming out like immediately right now. So I think maybe in the next generation. So probably towards the end of the PS5 cycle, and then going into the next PlayStation cycle is probably where we'll see these studios produce their best work. But the fact that they're being acquired at such a high rate right now means that they've got a lot in the works, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do as well, because Ben Studio is also working on something. Rumors are that it's also a multiplayer game, but I think they might be doing something single player related. I don't know. And for those who don't know, Ben Studio are the ones that developed Days Gone. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Because again, like I said, I'm not like on the polarizing side of this, because a lot of people are either super happy that PlayStation is doing this, or they're like super angry that PlayStation is doing this, because some people think, okay, if they pivot too much to multiplayer games, they'll start to neglect the single player story games. But I don't think that's a thing they should worry about at the moment. And then the second topic I had here is to do with Dead Island 2. And Dead Island 2 is finally here after about 9-10 years of development hell, changing hands between studios, looking like it was never going to come out. It's finally here, and I'd like to report that it's good. It's very fucking good. You guys would have seen my playthrough go up on the channel. I am recording this on the same day that playthrough is going up. Today is a Sunday. The playthrough went up Sunday earlier today, I think at like 11 a.m. my time. I'm recording this at around like 1 p.m. on Sunday. I don't know when I'm gonna publish it. I'll probably publish this tomorrow, Monday. Yeah. But I keep rambling. Fuck me, I always ramble. But yeah, basically, Dead Island 2 delivered and then some. They did really well. A lot of creators also released videos today regarding that subject. And I'd personally like to quote the Gamer2323, because he did a really good video talking about how the strengths of Dead Island 2 aren't necessarily, the strengths we would have given to, like, Elden Ring or God of War, that kind of thing. It's just Dead Island 2 basically improved on a lot of things that Dying Light 2 should have had in the game. Like, the gore system is insane. The gameplay, the graphics, everything. It's just like mindless fun. And I remember seeing someone mention this in the comments of that video, that Dead Island 2 feels like a throwback to like a PlayStation 2 game, right? Where it just feels like you're just going in there to like enjoy and have some fun. It's not really, there's no like, how do I say this? There's no like ulterior motive. Like, the game's not trying to hide anything. They're not trying to like force you into microtransactions. They're not trying to just pigeonhole you into like certain story loops, that kind of thing. Where the gameplay is admittedly very fucking repetitive, like most zombie games are. Like Dying Light 2 is the best example I can give, because of course the original studio that made Dying Light 2 were the people that originally made Dead Island, but they ended up passing on the IP. But I would just like to say, yeah, it's a lot of mindless fun. I fucking enjoyed it. It's hard to describe the fun that I had on it. I kind of also compared it to like Resident Evil 4, where the attachment that I had with Resident Evil 4 is sort of like, I enjoy that so much, but I don't look at it as like a Resident Evil game because of, the quirkiness and all the random fun. Like, that's the most action-packed Resident Evil game there is in the franchise. And so Dead Island 2 is also like just Dying Light 2 on steroids. Like, it's got none of like the serious tone and like world building and everything. It's just like Dying Light 2 on steroids. It's like what GTA 5 is to GTA 4, essentially. So I had a lot of fun with it. I would recommend people to buy it. I normally don't like shill games or anything. Y'all know me on this channel. Whenever I say buy a game, it's because I like it and I've like enjoyed it, or I like the idea. I'm never gonna shill a game just because I like the concept and then they don't deliver on it. So there's a lot of games where I'll tell you, and then, again, this goes back to the Dying Light comparison, where for people who don't really like zombie games, I'll tell you, buy Dying Light on like discount or sale. Don't pay full price for it, because you'll be disappointed. So with Dead Island 2, if you like zombie games, pay full price for it. If you think you like the mindless fun and like a throwback to the PlayStation 2 days, I would say fully buy it. But again, if you're not into zombie games, don't waste your time on it, because you might enjoy the gore or the story. I like the pacing of the story really well. I think it's something that they did exceptionally compared to, because the recent game that I finished that had really bad pacing was Atomic Heart. Yeah, that's the other one that I was trying to remember. And that one had very bad pacing. Like, the game was a little bit good in the intro. It was terrible in the middle, and then just really good. Like all the action was packed in the end of the story. I think Dying Light, I keep calling it Dying Light, Jesus Christ, Dead Island 2 has really good pacing, and it's a bit like wacky and that kind of thing. So and the gore, Jesus Christ, I fucking love the gore system. This is like true, like I haven't seen gore like this since Dying Light 1, and Dying Light 1 also did their gore really well, but this Dead Island 2 just over the top. They just injected steroids and heroin on this shit. But yeah. And then another news story, not as big, that was on this week, was people pressuring Insomniac to see Spider-Man 2, like to see more gameplay and that kind of thing. So Insomniac had to come out and ask for a little more patience for the sequel. Because again, news has just been hard to come by, right? For Spider-Man 2, it's been just a lot of speculation, a lot of hype, a lot of if, buts, and maybes and all that kind of thing. So admittedly, people are on edge, but again, I feel like it's more of just the internet being impatient and edgy and, you know, just hungry, trying to get everything done all at once. But of course, you always want to see early gameplay of these games to actually see what you're getting into if you're a consumer. But simultaneously, I feel like if a studio has a lot of credibility, maybe they can sort of get away with not showing gameplay early on, which, yeah, we've seen sometimes that might backfire, like Cyberpunk 2077. That might backfire, but I feel like in this case, as long as they're not, as we get closer to the launch date, as long as they're not putting like an embargo on the game, you know, if they, because a lot of studios will then put an embargo like around the review times and that kind of thing and try to stop it, which then you can sort of tell and be like, this game, why are they not letting reviewers, you know, review until the games come out, that kind of thing. But I feel like once the time comes, once Insomniac is ready, because again, like I've always said, Insomniac is one of the most consistent PlayStation studios out there. Whether it's working on Ratchet and Clank, whether it's working on Spider-Man, like their roster is fucking crazy. And personally, for me, I'm excited for Spider-Man. But again, I'm not a fan of Spider-Man. I'm not like into the whole Marvel universe and all that nonsense. So I just play Spider-Man for the fun of it, but I'm not really, you know, tied into the lore. Wolverine is the one that I'm really fucking excited for. So that one I really want to see. Like, I want to see what they do with the Wolverine game. That's what I'm actually more curious about than to actually just play the game itself, but just to see how they would have a take. Because I'm pretty sure there was X-Men games back in the day, but they fell into that category we have with like Avengers and Gotham Knights and all these other games that end up just being like random multiplayer trash or whatever. I want to really see their take, if they can take like the storytelling and gameplay that they've given us with the Spider-Man franchise or Ratchet and Clank and whatever, and if they can take that and implement it with Wolverine, because I feel like Wolverine is a bit harder. He's one of those like superheroes or characters or whatever, X-Men, who's a bit tricky to work around. Because yeah, you could go for like a combat kind of thing, because we've seen games, like speaking of Dead Island 2 again, where there's always like Wolverine claws and stuff like that as weapons, but people have never really had a take where you actually have to like control a Wolverine. So it'll be interesting to see how they take on that. And again, back to the main story itself, I think fans need to be a little bit patient, give them time, until if Insomniac starts doing like shady things, like, you know, the embargoes and all that type of shit, then there's cause for concern. But until then, just let them be. Like, the games will come out when they come out. I feel like that's the one big like hot take that I always have had on this channel, is I'm not against studios delaying games or showing things at their own pace, because I feel like if they end up rushing things to appease fans or to appease, because the pressure doesn't only come from fans, it also comes from investors. So like, again, CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077, the main pressure didn't come from the fans and the people who were hyping the game. The main pressure came from the investors who wanted that game to fucking launch in Q4, hit this deadline, hit this blah blah blah. Like, they weren't gonna wait any longer. So the higher ups made the executive decision to launch the game. So in this situation, like I've always said, games should launch when they're ready. I feel like studios just shoot themselves in the foot by going for like an early launch, because like no one wins. Like sure you can get like the early sales in, like launching at the right time. Of course they do it mainly for like the sales and the hype and everything, and basically riding that wave of momentum. But if you're then gonna have like a terrible post launch, it's not gonna end well. Like then the benefits that you would have gained from that riding the momentum, they all just get canceled out. So I've never seen like the upside to doing that. What other stories do I have here? Oh, and then we have the whole Twitter controversy when the check marks were removed. So you had a lot of fake game company Twitter accounts posting like fake game announcements and all sorts of, kind of like what you had when they initially introduced people paying for check marks, and then you had fake companies announcing shit and whatever, and like messing with stock markets and all sorts of things. And you had people like suing each other left, right, and center. And also, man, Twitter right now, I don't know. Elon Musk just created a fucking war zone. I don't even get the whole point of what they were doing. There was better ways to do it. And even right now with like the subscription thing, I feel like certain organizations, it's just the subscription, like the check marks weren't necessarily there as a status symbol. They get viewed as a status symbol for like celebs and shit, but for everyone else it was more of like a verifiable source to be like, oh, this is the authentic company or whatever, to avoid situations of people spreading fake news and all sorts of shit. When this day and era of like Photoshop and whatnot, it's really easy to just deceive people and to start like some malicious shit off some bullshit. And fucking Elon's dumbass basically created a war zone with what he's done now to Twitter. So it's so confusing. There could have been better ways to go about it, where you could still have maximized money from these organizations. Like on one of the podcasts I listened to, Talking Tactics, shout out Daniel Tillich. He mentioned he would have like charged companies to pay for like the ability to then like verify their employees and all that type of shit. So then rather than putting the burden on like the average user or whatever, or like turning it into the wild west, you would then have like CNN be able to verify their journalists, and like this PlayStation employee or whatever, they could, PlayStation as a company could then have a little badge put on their employees and that kind of thing. So you could sort of tell who's who if they were going to go for that whole introducing badges and all sorts of nonsense and stuff like that. So fucking Elon, I don't know what he's doing. And then we have another story here, the last story of the day. It's to do with Horizon Forbidden West. So again, that's another game that I played recently. I played the Burning Shores DLC. I had a lot of fucking fun with it. The video's up on my channel if you want to see that. But again, we had some more random fucking mindless controversy where people were up in arms that Aloy has a romance scene with Seika. And of course, the people who get angry at this kind of stuff. I don't even get why they're mad. It's all, again, people bitching about, woke this, woke that, it's like they're forcing LGBTQ on everyone, blah, blah, blah. When bro, it's just an optional love interest. Like, again, it's optional. So, in the game, you're not forced to have, a love interest with Seika. You can choose to push off her advances and be like, nah, I don't like you, or I don't swing like that. And then vice versa, you could also, indulge her. And then you'd see the kiss scene, which I actually used as my thumbnail for my video up on the channel. So yeah, like, people who get up in arms about all this shit, I don't understand it. They're not trying to fucking gayify everything. They're not trying to force things down your throat. It's just the storyline. I think it kind of makes sense for Aloy as well, given the scene, because I think the only other love interest that would have made sense prior to all of this was maybe Varl, because she was like, Aloy wasn't gonna get with Sun King Avant. He's too much of a fucking weirdo. Varl was like the one that would have made sense. But her relationship with Varl ended up being more, brother and sister type. So Varl ended up having his own relationship prior to him. Spoiler alert, prior to him dying in the game, he ended up having his own relationship. But yeah, I don't get why people are up in arms. It's like, it's optional. It's just a romance scene. It's a video game. It ain't that deep. Like, no one's forcing this down your throat. Like, I don't know why characters, queerness always, like, just gets descended into all sorts of nonsense. Because remember, when The Last of Us Left Behind DLC launched, everyone was again up in arms about Ellie. But, like, they'd hinted at it throughout the story. So it's not like they're bringing it out of nowhere. Like, they'll show you hints. Like, see, for those who actually play the games and pay attention to the stories, you can pick up these hints, right? And, like, where the story is going. Meanwhile, everybody else who just didn't play the game or has an agenda or some other shit, they'll just be like, nah, this shit is out the blue. Oh, they're trying to wokeify this, blah, blah, blah. The buzzword is always fucking woke, but I don't know, man. It just feels like something very trivial that I personally wouldn't be up in arms in. And again, like I said, it's not even on some holier than thou pedestal or anything like that. Nah, it's just on like a real note. Like, doesn't fucking matter. It's Aloy. It's a fictional character. It's whatever. The way they wrote in the story was really good. It wasn't like forced. It wasn't, it wasn't just like randomly done for the sake of doing it. So that sort of argument doesn't even make sense, but it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion. I'm actually just flicking through right now. Yeah, I think that's all the news that I had today. Because the other news I had was like the God of War devs. They had a really nice, like back and forth discussing how they worked on the Baldur and Kratos fight for the 5th anniversary of God of War. But yeah, there's not much news in there. It was just like some sappy usual shit. Like, again, it's fun to see. I say sappy, and like, if you guys could see me right now, I'm not recording using my camera. I'm just recording audio, so you can only hear me. But I say sappy, and like, it was just the usual, showing love to each other, explaining how much work they put into it. It's an iconic boss battle, so it will go down in history as one of the best boss battles in the God of War franchise. But yeah, they were just, stroking each other's egos and also just, giving a little behind the scenes on like what they were doing to get that boss fight scene done. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. Let me know in the comments what you guys would want to discuss next time. I'm going to try to do these weekly. So again, I'll be shooting to try and record them every Sunday, and we'll just cover whatever was happening in the land of PlayStation. Like I've always said, I do cover other platforms on this channel. I'm not against, like, I'm not I'm not elitist to PlayStation. It's just that I play PlayStation, so like I can discuss and cover what I actually play. I feel like I can never get too deep into, like PC exclusive games or like Xbox exclusive games, because I don't always have access to that stuff. Because I actually have PC games that I've put up on this channel before, but that's because I was able to use a friend's PC, not because I was able to actually buy my own like graphics card. My PC is not powerful enough to game on, not yet, so I can't game on PC. And likewise Xbox, I don't own an Xbox, so I enjoy, like, one of my favorite games, fucking Hellblade, is actually an Xbox exclusive, but it's not enough. It was never enough for me to convert to Xbox, because of course most of the other franchises that I love are PlayStation exclusive. So just growing up, I've always just played PlayStation a lot more, but I'm not really bothered about who's better, who's blah blah. It's the same thing with like iPhone and Android. I use an Android just because I like the flexibility and customization that I get with my OnePlus, but it's not because I hate iPhones or that type of shit. Nah. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize if the audio is a little bit bad. Again, I'm still testing around my mic settings. I did get a boom arm, like I showed you guys in one of the earlier videos, so now I have my mic actually set up on a boom arm, so hopefully that helps. But I need to get like a muffle thing for my mic, so it can sort of block out like all the random sounds and stuff like that. Because right now you may have heard Red Dead open. I have Red Dead open in the background, so you probably heard the noise of like Red Dead going on in the background. I'm not actually playing it, I just have the game open. And then my PC always sounds like a fucking fan, so sometimes it's, you know, it's super loud in my mic. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed, stay dangerous, and peace out.
ADS up and running. Swapping mag! C4 set!
Talk. Breaking your ally wasn't very challenging, but I found ways to have fun. Spill it!
Cover me, reloading.
Barbados coming for you!
One friendly remaining. Friendly's victorious. Hostiles eliminated.
Video essays and stuff, but in the meantime, right now, my monitor, because I'm used to my camera being on my monitor, but I moved the camera.
Stop right there!
Okay. It was not.
This is your fault.
This is nobody's fault, Henry.
If you're really like into some nature shit, on weekends you can always